So the Diddy trial has been halted unexpectedly. Trying to figure out what is happening here. I was waiting for some information to come out. I'm trying to play catch up. I know what's his name? The Mule is supposed to be or was supposed to be testifying. Um Got this video here from the Law and Crime Network. I'm going to see what they say because I just hope it ain't nothing shady going on, man. I just, my mind is just automatically going there. All right, we ain't going to waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Hey there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and thank you so much for joining us on our special live coverage of the Sean Diddy Combs criminal case out of federal court in New York. What an interesting day today. I would say, usually we do this lunchtime show where we take your questions for the next hour and a half. We break down court updates. No court today. No court today. They adjourned within 10 minutes of getting started. We're going to explain why. How does this delay the trial?
So the court, okay. I don't know why I was thinking like it was going to be like a big break and they were going to resume. Because today is Wednesday. Tomorrow, are they even going to, because it's a holiday, the Juneteenth. Are they going to resume on Friday?
I mean, weren't they supposed to finish up by July 4th? A lot of unanswered questions, but I'll tell you what, we are going to be taking your questions, your comments about this case. Again, for the next hour and a half or so, we really want to dive into this because the prosecution is coming towards the end of the case. Before I bring in my all-star panel that I have with me, I'm first going to start off with our in-court reporter, Law and Crime's very own Elizabeth Milner.
All
Elizabeth,
right.
So good to see you. What happened? What happened? We were supposed to have court today.
I know. I was truly surprised because every day I wake up or try to at least wake up at 4 a.m., get here by 6:30. We're all ready to go. I have my notepad. I have my pen. I'm ready. The judge gets on the bench and he's like, a juror is sick. And so we're going to adjourn for the day. Now, as far as just the more kind of reasons as far as what really happened, the judge gets on the bench and he says this juror was on his way to court this morning. What we did know about this particular juror is he is one of the alternates, but he did get sick on his way to court this morning. He had vertigo and then he turned back around to go home. And so they're kind of monitoring.
Wait. He's one of the alternates? Because the alternates have to hear the case too. So just in case they have to, replace someone, they're up to date. Or is she saying, is this one of the ones that replaced juror number 6? Okay. Probably just an alternate that got sick. I don't want nothing shady going on, man.
The situation right now. There was no need, as far as further action goes. They're just waiting to see and make sure that the juror is okay to continue on Friday and then possibly have more discussions just about what had happened if that juror isn't able to get better. But hopefully the juror is able to get better so that way court can begin on Friday. But really today, Jesse, court was about 30 minutes long. I mean, outside of the judge revealing to everyone that a juror is sick. And so we're going to adjourn for the day, which, by the way, both sides did agree upon this. And so what ended up happening is probably he sat down on the bench by 9 o'clock, 9:30. We were all out of the courtroom and everyone was kind of like, oh, well, we have another free day because then we don't have court tomorrow too. So it was a pretty interesting turn of events today, even though there was absolutely no testimony today.
Yep, because tomorrow's Juneteenth, so no court. So what does that do to the...
For all the people who are covering this case, let me just say this. Be careful out there. The day is over. There's no court tomorrow. Just be careful out there if you're going to eat, sightsee, whatever the case may be. Just watch your back, watch your surroundings. I'm gonna just say that.
Schedule. Don't they want to be finished by what, July 4th? I mean, do they realistically believe that that's going to wrap up? Because you have what? How long is the defense's case going to be? You have closing arguments. You have jury instructions. Talk to us about how this messes up the whole schedule.
Yeah, it really kind of does shift everything, especially because not only do we not have court on Thursday, but Friday's kind of a smaller, shorter schedule. We're only going to court from 9 to 1 because one of the jurors is celebrating, I think, their child's graduation. So that's pretty exciting. But as far as just the delay of the case, it really is kind of pushing everything a little bit back. So first of all, the government planned on resting their case today, but that was before the cross-examination of Special Agent Alyssa Penland kind of took a little bit longer than I think the government had planned. And then they were planning to call Brendan Paul on the stand and then another summary witness. So as far as just even that, we haven't even heard from Brendan Paul just yet. So I assume now that we didn't have court today that he'll take up much of Friday, if not all of Friday, because he still has to do his cross-examination, even though the prosecution said that his direct will only be about an hour and a half or 90 minutes. But depending on how long the cross-examination takes, I assume Brendan Paul will be on the stand again majority of Friday. Then there's one final witness, that being the summary witness. So sorry, everybody. It doesn't seem like Christina Coram will be called as a government witness. I doubt she'll be that summary witness because they named who that person was and it wasn't Christina Coram. And so then what happens with the defense case is once they pick up the case, Mark Agnifilo said his defense case could last anywhere between 2 to 5 trial days. So it's still a pretty short amount of time, but I don't know how much of this delay as far as today goes will really push things back because the judge's whole plan altogether was to make sure that we were kind of done by 4th of July. So we'll see kind of what happens, especially when the defense takes over and they do their case, how much of a really big trial delay we might have. Will we get out of the 4th of July? We'll see.
So we have some questions coming in for you. First of all, we have this super chat question from Smarty Pants. Smarty Pants, thank you so much. I'm going to save your super chat question for a little bit later for the panel. So don't think we forgot about you, Smarty Pants. And I'm also just waiting, I'm just trying to get as many times I could say Smarty Pants as possible. But no, we're going to answer that question later. This is from Rita Connors, though. Hey, Jesse and Elizabeth, do you think the prosecution will put on a rebuttal case? So after the defense's case, are they going to put on a rebuttal case? Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about a rebuttal case. I would assume, and I say that kind of with, a little bit of hesitancy, that they would put on a rebuttal case. I feel like that's normally what we see, especially in a big trial like this. It's been a lot of testimony that these jurors have heard. It's been going on for weeks at this point. And so depending on, I feel like, where the defense goes with their case, I feel like maybe the government will call maybe 1 or 2 witnesses, but I don't think it'll be for a long time frame. But they haven't said anything yet. This is just me kind of guessing at this point.
Elizabeth, I don't know if you have the answer to this, and maybe if our producers will have an opportunity to look at this too, but I've seen this question come up a little bit. It's from Danny. Question, is there a conflict of interest for Tenny Garagos representing Sean Combs, which she currently is in this case, and Christina Coram? Have you seen anything that Tenny Garagos is representing Christina Coram?
I have not. That's honestly the first time I'm hearing of this. And so I don't want to answer that question just because I'm not 100% sure that's true. But it is a good question if it is true. I will say that.
No, it is. We'll look into that a little bit more. I haven't heard anything about it. By the way, when you talk about Brendan Paul, who's come up a lot in testimony, what do you anticipate his testimony is going to be? What is the value of his testimony?
Well, I think probably the big thing might be whether or not he participated in setting up the rooms for hotel nights or freak-offs, that sort, because I believe when he started working with Sean Combs, it was around possibly the Jane time frame. So not sure if he had overlap with Cassie necessarily, because that was what they ended their relationship in 2018. So it'll be interesting to hear what Brendan Paul has to say, because he had been working.
And I also heard that he has immunity, so he's just going to be probably just spilling everything. Spilling everything, man. Shoot.
with Diddy up until just last year. And so I'm interested to see what he has to say, not only about possibly setting up hotel rooms, but also what he has to say in terms of and how that all kind of went down. Because remember, everyone, he was named in one of the civil lawsuits as a drug mule. And so I feel like because he had to invoke his Fifth Amendment right and not to kind of perjure himself, or the Fifth Amendment right not to self-incriminate, I should say that, and that he was given an immunity order, that I do believe it has something to do, just kind of like the other assistants who got immunity deals, that it might have something to do, so paid for by Sean Combs, that were given to him, but that were, obtained by the assistants. So it'll be interesting to see what he all has to say when he eventually testifies.
He's this former Syracuse University basketball player. You might remember he was arrested the same day as the raids on Sean Combs' properties. He was charges. That case was dropped. Wonder if it was maybe for his potential participation in this case, although I know he was granted immunity at the beginning of this week. But again, okay, we got a super chat comment from Carol Mogan. Thank you to the dynamic duo, Jesse and Elizabeth. So kind. And by the way, I have to tell you, before we came on, Elizabeth shared an AI video that she found online of us as little babies, doing reporting, which is great. So very, very kind,
Yes.
very, very sweet out there. Everybody is interested in doing that. But no, we appreciate the kind comments. Elizabeth, I want you to set the record straight while I have a little bit more time with you. A lot of questions about what this case is and what this case is about and not about. So Janetta Monger says, question to Jesse, what about the...
Okay, so, he asked a question about, because I don't know if I'm going to have to edit it out, but he asked a question, or someone donated and asked a question about the kids. And I think the other day, I was wondering too, because it had been alleged, and she's just basically saying, Elizabeth is saying that, nobody has testified to that. I mean, it was supposed to be allegedly all these celebrities involved, but as we know, there's been a few names that have been mentioned, but not to what we thought it was going to be. Again, y'all know how I feel about that. I feel like a lot of stuff is missing in this case, like a lot. And I don't know if it'll ever be revealed or ever come out. We just gonna have to speculate and guesstimate at this point.
I've got a very important question for you, Elizabeth. This is from Fabiola Delgado Lebron. Question for Elizabeth. Have you drank your electrolytes for the day? And did you get to gather a vibe from what you could see? So have you drank your electrolytes, and what's the vibe in the courtroom?
All right, going to stop the video there. So court canceled today. Going to pick up back on Friday with the Brandon Paul guy. I know that's going to be tough to cover because it's going to be talking about a lot of stuff that people put in their bodies to feel a certain way. But, and they're saying that's going to end early because one of the jurors have to go to a graduation. So at this point, I'm waiting to see what the defense is going to have to say. Because then, if possible, if they do it, a rebuttal, we might get more information at this point. Because I don't know. Like, share, comment below. Appreciate y'all coming over. I'm just looking at some comments. If Diddy get away with everything, I will be disgusted. People saying, how is KK not? Yeah. All right, man. Peace out.